Today we are reviewing the brand new NordicTrack Fusion CST Studio. Now this is a brand new version of the Fusion CST by NordicTrack, and it's essentially a connected fitness version of a cable strength machine that is able to adjust weights automatically while you are taking a class. So today we're going to discuss exactly what you can expect when you have the Fusion CST Studio delivered, what the main differences are between this and the original Fusion CST, as well as all of the pros, the cons, and some of the other options that you may want to also look into. My name is Colin Jenkins with Connect the Watts, where we cover connected fitness news, reviews, tips, and guides. So if you want more content just like this, well, make sure to subscribe. Now, the Fusion CST Studio consists of 6 different handles, 2 which are above, 2 at your shoulder or around chest height, and 2 at the bottom. Now the 2 pulleys at the bottom can also be pulled out farther in what they call a squat pulley, which basically allows the lever to come out farther away from the unit, making it easier to do more loaded vertical movements like squats or overhead presses. And really the biggest feature of the Fusion CST is that the magnetic resistance is always automatically adjusted during the classes, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a moment, but that is the big selling point of this machine. Now the difference between this Fusion CST Studio and just the regular Fusion CST is mostly in the mirror that you see on the front. This is a 70-inch by 15-inch mirror, and it's really here to help you be able to see yourself, and so you can see what your form looks like relative to the instructors and better make adjustments. And really, that's it. That's the big difference here. Now, because this whole thing is a mirror, they've also included this magnetic tablet holder, which you can basically put anywhere up and down on the mirror. And they also include this additional stand that you can have for the tablet. So you can put the tablet, which also does come with the Fusion CST, anywhere that you would like. And this is a really nice feature because no matter what your room looks like or how everything is set up, you're always going to be able to find a way to put that tablet in a perfect spot. So now let me talk about some of the stuff that I really like about the Fusion CST Studio. Now the biggest thing that I like and that I've already mentioned is the ability for this to automatically adjust the weights during your workouts. And this is actually a pretty big deal given the type of workouts you'll likely be doing with this, because this is just as much a cardio machine as it is a strength machine. And often during the classes that you'll be taking, the movements will switch back and forth fairly quickly, and you don't really want to have to be worrying about always making those adjustments manually. Instead, you can just have the class automatically adjust the weights for you. And so when you're going to take a class, before you even start that class, it's going to ask you what sort of difficulty level you want the weights to be adjusted to. And so you just select that and you're typically going to be good to go. Now, of course, during the middle of the workout, if you need to make adjustments for whichever reason, you can do that pretty easily on the unit itself or on the tablet, as well as you also have the ability to adjust the difficulty slider so you can adjust how heavy or light those weights are going to be for the remainder of that session. I also do like the dozen or so programs that are included here on the app. I think they are very well fleshed out full programs that I think a lot of people will enjoy and get pretty good results with should they follow along to it. The other thing that I also really like about this Fusion CST Studio is that they also include ankle straps, as this really expands how many exercises that you can do with this machine, especially glute-based exercises, which I know a lot of people enjoy doing. So that is one other thing that I do really like. But now let's talk about some of the cons with this machine, because there are quite a few. The biggest of which is going to be around the type of resistance it offers. So the resistance on the Fusion CST Studio and the original Fusion CST, that resistance is created magnetically with a flywheel that's in the back. And while this type of resistance is very smooth and silent, one issue that you may have with it is that it only provides resistance on the concentric phase of a movement and not really much of any on the eccentric portion of a movement. Now, I know that there are a lot of people who may not know what that means, so let me give you an example. If I'm going down into a squat, that's the eccentric portion or the lowering portion of the movement. If I come out of a squat to standing, that's the concentric portion. Similar to a press. If I press up, that's concentric, and if I go down, that's eccentric. So with the Fusion CST Studio, you're gonna feel the weight on the way up, but you're not gonna feel much loading on the way down. And the issue with this is that with strength training, you're going to be missing out on a lot of benefit because eccentric loading is very important to building up strength. It's not essential, and you'll still get stronger with this. And there are even some reasons that you may like that it does not have that eccentric resistance. But for a lot of people who want to use this as primarily a strength machine, that could be a big problem. Now, a reason some people may like that it doesn't have eccentric loading is because, well, eccentric loading is what causes a lot of the muscle breakdown and soreness that you may get from lifting weights, which, you know, if you don't want to be really that sore, then this could be a good option. Also, as I mentioned, a lot of people don't use this machine just for strength. It's their cardio and strength sort of mixed machine. And for cardio type workouts and exercises, not having that eccentric loading could actually potentially be beneficial, as it will allow you to recover much faster and be able to use this more often. So if you want to use this for cardio and strength and be able to jump on it pretty much every day, that could be a big reason why you may want to look into getting the Fusion CST Studio. Now, I've talked about what type of resistance this thing offers, but I haven't yet really talked about how much resistance it offers, and that could potentially be another really important factor for you when looking into it. So as I mentioned, that magnetic resistance is created with that flywheel in the back, and there are 20 levels that you can choose from to increase or decrease that resistance. Now, NordicTrack says that this resistance ranges from 10 pounds to 100 pounds, and while I'm not quite sure how exactly they are measuring that resistance, I can tell you pretty definitively that this doesn't offer anywhere near the same level of resistance that you would feel by lifting 100 pounds of free weights, whether that's a dumbbell or a barbell. Personally, my estimate is that the max resistance is much closer to 50 or 60 pounds rather than 100. And this may be enough for a lot of people, especially for the single arm and single leg exercises, as you'll get the same level of resistance by pulling with one arm as you will with two, which means that the two arm exercises or two leg exercises on this machine feel quite a bit easier than the single leg or single arm ones. And again, this goes into my argument that this machine should be really treated as a mixture of cardio and strength rather than just a strength-based machine. And finally, the last negative that I have to really talk about with the Fusion CST Studio is the app and the iFIT program. See, if you want to take the Fusion CST classes on the app, you have to pay for an iFIT membership, which costs $39 per month for a family plan, or you can have that lower to $15 per month on an individual plan. And while I don't have a problem at all with that pricing for iFIT for their treadmill or for their bike, I do have a problem with it here because the Fusion CST Studio app is actually a separate app than the main iFIT one. And as far as I can tell, the program and classes on this portion of the app is almost never updated with new programs. So personally, I think it's a bit ridiculous to ask people to pay for a monthly subscription to an app that doesn't actually receive any new content. And I really hope this changes soon because the programs that they have here are really good. It's just that there are about a dozen of them, and if they're not going to add any more, it feels like they should have just been included as part of the purchase rather than forcing you to pay for them monthly. Now, if you are a big fan of iFIT like I am and you ride their bikes or their treads and you want to add more strength classes to your workout regimen, I would also recommend that you also look at the NordicTrack Vault, which looks kind of similar to this in the fact that it's a big mirror. But what's different about it is that that mirror opens up to a weight closet, which holds an entire set of dumbbells and kettlebells and bands, and you can use those to follow along to other strength workouts, which you can see in a big screen that is held behind that mirror. And I think for a lot of people, you're probably going to see better results with that just because with the dumbbells and kettlebells, you do get that eccentric loading. And also with free weights, of course, you do have a wider variety of movements to choose from. And while I still do think that the Vault could use a bit more regular updates, at least there are somewhat regular updates in terms of new programs added, whereas here there just doesn't seem to be many at all. Of course, I'll update the description below if that changes. And if you want to check out my review on the NordicTrack Vault, you can check that out here. Thanks so much for watching. If this video helped you in any way, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you want more content just like this. Really appreciate it, and have a great day.